Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. My name is Hannah. On this channel, I post a lot of anti-MLM content. I'll link a playlist here and down below. That's my big anti-MLM playlist. There's over 80 videos on it at this point, and I add new ones every single week. So if any of that kind of content does sound interesting to you, I would love it if you would consider subscribing, consider liking this video. All of those kinds of things really help to support my channel, and I appreciate you so much for doing that. Hi Zeke, making an early appearance today, I see. For today's video, I have another MLM horror stories. These are your own personal experiences that you have taken the time to write out and send to me. And if at any point you would like to send in your own horror story, the instructions for how to do that are down below. Very easy, you just send me an email. And without further ado, let's read some stories. This one says, "Hi Hannah, I stumbled upon your YouTube channel and I just can't stop watching your anti-MLM content. It's dead on. Where to begin? I grew up in the 80s and 90s and my mother was no stranger to MLMs, so I had exposure from childhood. Whether she bought it or sold it, I grew up with Avon, Tupperware, Party Light candles, Pampered Chef, and more. My mother's garage currently has boxes and boxes of unused/unsold inventory from various companies dating back to the late 80s. So I never thought much of these companies as being super scammy. I never thought of them as an MLM or pyramid scheme, but all the consultants were just that, either a product consultant or independent representative for the company, so it never felt super cringy to me. In my early 20s, I decided I would sign up with Avon since I used some of the products and it was like $10 to sign up. I figured, what's the harm if I lose money? It's not much, and at least I would get my items at a lower price. I signed up under a random person and never had any direct contact with them. After a year or so with Avon and maybe a handful of sales, I gave up and just stopped ordering. Truth be told, I may still be a registered Avon rep because I don't think I ever officially quit. I just ghosted anything and everything Avon. Years later, I had just had baby number 4 and was not in a position to work outside the home. My husband worked and there was just no need for me to work with 4 kids at home. A friendly acquaintance had a family member in town and was hosting a party at her home. I was invited and went thinking, oh, they're having a girls' night party. I had some other friends going, so I went. It was a unique party. Insert eye roll here. Unique was not a known product or company, at least not in our geographic area at the time, so I was all in to see what kind of makeup they had. The price was absurd, $30 for magic mascara, but my friendly acquaintance ended up using that party as her launch party and had signed up under her family member. As we spoke and got more friendly with one another, she really sold the business to me, as this was her way to pay for her kids' private school tuition. I still don't know what got into me, but I drank the Kool-Aid at some point and said, what the hell, and just joined her team myself. It was weird, kind of awkward, but overall not too bad. It was still new enough that a lot of people wanted to buy the mascara to try it out. I started to get annoyed as my friend upline wanted to help me grow my business and train me. She had signed up to be a vendor at some event and invited me to come with her so we could split the sales. I thought, why not? I showed up and that's when she informed me, quote, "You can pay me back the $50 table fee later." I was not in a position to pay that at the time. She also had a unique shirt made for me and told me to wear it at the event. Oh, and I can pay her the $30 for the shirt when I paid the table fee as well. So now I apparently owed her $80 for things I never asked for. This left a bad taste in my mouth. I did sell a little here and there for several months, but never made more than maybe $100 a month in profits. I even felt so guilty when people bought this ridiculously expensive makeup from me that I would often give them a free eyeshadow because I felt like it was a ripoff, especially when you factor in the shipping and taxes. Yeah, that's not a good sign. That is something that I have wondered about because on a grand scale, MLM products are very, very overpriced. And so I've always wondered kind of the awkward position that puts the reps in when they have to break the news to you that your mascara is going to be $30 or your essential oil is going to be $50 or your shampoo is going to be $80. Like, you're supposed to be the business owner, yet you have no control over any of the pricing and you can't exactly discount things for people if you wanted to. And I've just always imagined that there is kind of like that little gut instinct, like, oh, this is so overpriced and I know it's overpriced, but yet I really need to make this sale and hopefully they accept this price and hopefully they're willing to pay it. And you said that you would throw in a free eyeshadow, but I'm assuming you paid for that eyeshadow at some point. So then in a weird way, you are eating the cost of giving them some kind of like discount or free gift. You're sweetening the deal for them, but you're cutting into your own profits. It's a hard place to be. I ended up leaving Unique after it became so oversaturated. My upline asked me why I haven't made any sales that month. I told her flat out because I have no customers, so unless you can bring me a customer, I think I'm out. Oh, and the best part of the Unique Magic Mascara, it legit made my eyelashes fall out. The rest of the makeup line was gross as well, very heavy and cakey feeling, just not anything I would ever wear myself. Yeah, the icing on the cake is that MLM products are overpriced and they usually don't work very well, at least not better than anything you could find at a drugstore. So there has to come a point where you're like, why am I spending all of this money on these products that don't even work that great and I don't even really like them that much? Flash forward several years and I reconnected with one of my old coworkers from years ago who just happened to have a child on my son's baseball team. When I asked her what she was up to nowadays, she said she worked for Arbonne. She did not elaborate or try to pitch it to me. I had never heard of Arbonne and I didn't know anything about it. But her Facebook page said that she was a regional manager, so I just figured it was an actual company with employees. When I found out it was an MLM, I still thought she worked for them in an office because she was a regional manager. Nope, she was just a low-key Arbonne hun and had a much more low-key approach to recruiting. Now there's a good point because MLM companies have outrageous, ridiculous, very, very misleading names for their ranks. And not always. Some MLMs have like the gemstone ranks, right? Like you're a ruby, a sapphire, a diamond. But then there's other MLMs like Arbonne, like Monate, where it's like regional vice president or senior executive director, and it sounds so much more official than it really is. And that has the potential to mislead people into thinking that you're actually in a position of power within a company, when you're really not. You really don't have any power over anything in the company. That's just the title of your rank that is dependent on how much product you sell and how many people are on your team. My husband and I remained friends with their family for a while, but did decide a few years down the line we wanted to try their 30-day detox program because we needed a boost to better health. Yeah, the Arbonne program is called 30 Days to Healthy Living. It's just a whole bunch of like drink powders and supplements. It's a fad diet, essentially. I decided to sign up as a representative as the cost would be much less. The amount of crap you need for your 30-day supply is insane, and if I recall correctly, somewhere between $300 and $500. And again, my husband and I were both doing it, so that's times 2. So I just looked it up on the Arbonne website, and the 30 Days to Healthy Living is $508. And honestly, I think that price has increased. I swear it wasn't $500 at one point. Let me check. No way. Okay. Yeah, I did an Arbonne deep dive several months ago, and at the time of that deep dive, their 30 Days to Healthy Living set was $460. So they've now increased it to $508. Or if you become a rep or a preferred customer, you can get it for $304 instead. Let me check something else because I covered Arbonne in a recent video, and I swear even then it wasn't that much. No, it wasn't. Okay, a month ago I did a video covering an Arbonne Zoom call, and in that video I put a screenshot of the 30 Days to Healthy Living, and it was still $460 at that point. As of February 2022, it was $460. And now, as of March of 2022, it's jumped up to $508. That is nuts. But anyway, as that pertains to your story, it does make sense that if you want to do this program, you join as a client or a preferred customer, or representative, or whatever, because then you can get it for $300 instead of $500. So you and your husband doing it together, that is $600 for a 30-day supply of supplements. Insanity. I decided if I liked it and if it worked, maybe I would sell it after my 30 days, but I didn't want to commit. I just wanted the discount. So we did the 30-day detox, and a big part of it was joining an Arbonne detox group on Facebook where people share recipes, coach you, and help keep everyone on track and accountable. Part of this detox is not only using the hundreds of dollars worth of product, but also following a pretty drastic clean eating system, as well as removing sugars, gluten, carbs, and so many other things. Did we lose weight in those 30 days? You bet. Was it because of their overpriced products? Probably not. The diet change I would attribute to the bulk of the weight loss. I did love the taste of their protein powder, and I still think it's a great product, but I can't bring myself to either sell or purchase this. I was active for a while in Arbonne and attended their weird Zoom training sessions that were nothing more than crappy motivational speeches from uplines. My direct upline and at least 3 of her downlines were and still are Arbonne car owners and had earned the cars, the trips, the Tiffany jewelry, and whatever else they incentivized the reps with. She once told me that she had leased the vehicle in her name and it is her car. However, Arbonne sends her a check for $800 every month to cover the payment. That scared the crap out of me. What if she didn't rank for 1 month? Would she be on the hook for an $800 car payment? Yep, that's exactly how it works. She continued to try and help me sell for several months, but I was not interested and phased out of that as well. Since finding this anti-MLM content and going down the rabbit hole of other people's horror stories, I think this has sealed the deal that I am pretty anti-MLM myself. I do feel that there are some good products to be found in MLMs, but at what cost? They are overpriced products and ruining the lives of those who sell them in most cases, and I cannot support that. Keep doing God's work and sharing these stories. Thank you so much for taking the time to write this out. You cover so many important and very problematic things of the industry. One of the things I want to touch on is the fact that you acknowledge, yes, we did lose weight on the 30 days to healthy living, but was it really the products? How can you tell? If you're making other lifestyle changes at the same time that you're starting this program, you can't say indefinitely that it was the supplements and not your eating habits. And I don't think it's any coincidence that they put you in this Facebook group and they give you this really restrictive diet to follow as you're taking the supplements, because what that has the potential to do for some people is they will see some kind of results and they will feel that if they want to continue seeing those results, they're going to need to continue buying the supplements, even though they probably would have gotten similar results with or without the supplements. And the last thing from your email that I want to touch on is the car program. Yes, that is very true, that when you take part in an MLM car program, you can either purchase or lease the vehicle, but it's in your name. It is your car and you are responsible for the car payment if you don't hit your ranks. So just a PSA for everyone watching that it is a misleading claim to say that they are getting a free car or a company car or a paid for car. None of those are actually what's going on. The agreement is if you maintain this level of performance and if you maintain this rank, they will give you some money to go towards your own car payment. But it is conditional, and the moment that you don't make your rank, the company can pull out from their end of the deal. And that's pretty manipulative because people in MLMs use the car bonus programs to incentivize their business opportunity a lot. They're like, look at my beautiful Mercedes, my beautiful Cadillac, my beautiful Lexus. My company allowed me to have this car, but they don't admit that it's their own car in their own name. And the moment they don't perform to a certain level or they decide to leave the company, they are then stuck with that luxury car payment. This story says, "Hi Hannah, I started watching your channel a couple weeks ago. I really like how calm and collected you are while still making your point. You have really helped me make sense of all the confusion I have felt being in a couple companies. I could never understand why people were so pushy in my story. I don't really have crazy horror stories, but definitely lost some money to a couple MLMs. As I was growing up, I remember my mom hosting some pampered chef parties for her friends that were selling. I really enjoyed these parties since there was always good food brought by the seller to showcase how well the stoneware was supposed to cook. She also liked Norwex. She was never a seller of any company, but did host parties and bought things she was interested in from her friends and family who did sell it. Since I saw my mom supporting her friends like this, I naturally thought that that's what you're supposed to do. Therefore, as an adult, I never hosted a party, but I went to my friends' MLM parties that they hosted. I always tried to buy 1 or 2 things to help the host get free or discounted stuff. I honestly thought these companies were legit and the sellers got commission off of what they sold, like a car salesman. I've gone to a couple pure romance parties. Those ended up with fun people, so not completely awkward. Scentsy, Arbonne, a candle one, I can't remember the name, 31 bags, Norwex, LuLaRoe. It was so hard to buy something there. Everything was so ugly and the price was so high. What you do for your friends. And Mary Kay, which I've come to hate because those huns have been the pushiest and their skincare made me break out like crazy. There are 2 that I've gotten sucked into though. The first one was Beachbody. I got a hey girl message from this girl that was a cousin of some close family friends that I hadn't seen in 15 years. She was trying to explain the shakes, workouts, and coaching to me. I was so confused. At the time, I was a certified fitness instructor and personal trainer. I had no idea what to think. Because she was so sweet and I didn't want to be rude, I bought a package deal, some Shakeology with some workout DVDs. She told me that if I liked it, I could make some money selling it to my clients at the gym I worked at. I was so skeptical. She kept trying to explain the teams to me and how I could get paid. None of it made any sense and I was so confused. But I agreed to start by trying the products. I think I ended up spending around $150 or something. It may have been more. I'm hoping it wasn't. However much it was, I remember thinking it was a completely insane amount for some protein powder and workout DVDs. I got the package. I hated the Shakeology protein. So gross. The ingredients in it were not something I liked in a protein powder. The workouts were okay, but my job was to create workouts and I was teaching around 8 to 10 workouts as an instructor a week and working out with an amazing yoga instructor instructor and a professional Olympic weight trainer. I had no need for at-home workouts. It was such a waste. I ended up telling the girl I didn't really need anything more and I didn't want to coach, and I canceled whatever account I had, which was such a pain on its own. I didn't even try to return anything. It is so embarrassing. I should have known better. I don't want you to beat yourself up over the fact that you should have known better. I should not have gotten into this, because I'm sure at the time you were just working off of whatever information you were given. Look at this great program, these DVDs, this shake mix. You can make some money if you make a business out of it, and you're just kind of going with the flow. I don't know how recently this experience happened, but the world of anti-MLM information is relatively new. And even if you did go out in search of information on Beachbody on your own, there probably wasn't a lot to find at the time, so please don't feel bad about that. The second MLM I got roped into is Young Living. I prefer to do things more natural. I make my own laundry detergent. I try not to use so many chemicals. I do believe that doctors have their place and time, but I believe that we can use the things in nature to help us as well. I had just moved states and went to a church, and I became friends with this lady. When we first started hanging out, she wasn't doing Young Living, but about 6 months into our friendship, she was recruited by her best friend. I went to a couple of her parties. This is where I met a couple ladies in her upline. I had used essential oils before. I had heard of doTERRA and had a couple oils that someone had given me to try. I had also bought some random brands at health food stores. Anyway, the first party, we just smelled some oils and I ordered one of the blends that I liked. From then on, whenever I went to this friend's house, all we did was talk about oils and how different blends could help us with this or that. The second party she had ended up being a makeup party. Young Living sells a natural mineral makeup line. Her upline lady had been to the Young Living beauty school where you're supposed to get trained in Young Living brand makeup. She brought over all the makeup she had and had us use it. I do have to say she kept everything clean and had disposable brushes and such. I hadn't found a good natural makeup brand I liked, and I figured I could support my friend and order it. Of course, my friend said I needed to sign up so I could buy it wholesale, and so I became part of the downline. That strategy right there is very prevalent in these companies. Typically, their products are always priced insanely high, and then they have a special consultant price or a discounted preferred customer price or a rep price. And it's like, oh, if you want to get a discount, you need to sign up. And so what ends up happening is there's lots of people that join MLMs because they just wanted the discount. And then before you know it, you're kind of roped into like all of these team calls and all of this pressure to like work the business. And you're like, that's not even what I was in it for. And then it's a huge hassle to leave, and then it's a big mess. I didn't mind the makeup, but then they said I needed to order at least 50 PV a month. I thought, okay, I can do that for a couple months and try some of the soaps, cleaner, or other oils. I didn't realize that 50 PV did not equal $50. Also, there was almost $7 in shipping and taxes. Some things you buy don't even have PV value. I started getting more and more confused on how the buying and selling worked. All I wanted to do was buy the products I needed or wanted when I wanted. Then the upline started trying to meet up with me and would say that they are just checking in on me or would invite me to oil classes, but it would always end with, you should really think about selling. Who do you know that would use oils? One of the uplines even wanted me to start a blog with her about oils and fitness. She was constantly asking me who I knew that would benefit. She encouraged me to push oils on my clients. She told me that if I could get a couple people under me, it would pay for my monthly order. I couldn't understand the big push to get people under you. She tried inviting me to the yearly conference. I couldn't understand why you had to pay to get into the conference and why I would have to pay for a hotel and to drive or fly just to listen to some people talk. If I was going to pay for all that, I would go on vacation. That's amazing. I kept telling her selling wasn't for me. I just liked to buy what I liked. One of my uplines even gave all of us, her downline, a book and a workbook written by one of the really high up Huns. It was about how to work the business and succeed. My upline wanted us to read and do the workbook together. She said if we finished it, she wouldn't make us pay for the book. What kind of crappy gift is that? Here's my gift to you, but if you don't use it, you're gonna have to pay me back for it. I couldn't understand why I needed to sell. Honestly, if someone asked me for something, I would give them the sample, and if they wanted to order something, I would usually buy it with my points and not charge them, or I would only charge them half price. I couldn't get over how expensive everything was, and I didn't want any friends not to be able to afford something that they did feel was helpful. Yeah, again with the outrageous pricing and the feeling bad about charging people for this outrageous pricing and making up for it by taking a loss yourself. And I kind of love this whole section of your story where you're like, I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. None of this is logical. Why do I have to be selling? Why do I have to be traveling and paying to travel? What is this workbook? And my goal with anti-MLM content like this is to hopefully demystify some of those things and to show you why the push is so strong for you to be selling. So hopefully at this point you have a better understanding of why people were so pushy on you. After 3 years, I started to feel weird about buying so much in products every month that I did not need. There are oils I have and that I don't use regularly and don't like. My upline had told me I would save money because I would just replace products that I bought at the store with Young Living products. What happens when you are paying double for those products and you don't even like them? The toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant all don't work well. When I expressed this to any of the uplines, they would tell me to add different oils to it or to use it this way or that. What is with people blaming the consumer for just not using it correctly? Oh, the toothpaste doesn't work very well for you? How about you just add some oils to it or use it a different way? What are you talking about? It's toothpaste. It's pretty self-explanatory. And in any other situation, if you bought a brand of toothpaste you didn't like, you would cease to use that brand and you would find something else you do like. You wouldn't be concocting things to make your current toothpaste work better for you. You would be like, dang, that's a crappy product. I'm not going to use that anymore. But in MLMs, it's not really about having a quality product. It's about getting people to continuously spend their money regardless. Young Living also has deals where you could order different levels of PV and you would get free oils. Well, I would usually order 100 PV and get a free oil. Then they took away the free oil and swapped it with free shipping. Shipping is almost $7. So they took away the free oil, which could be worth $15 to $30, and gave everyone $7 back. I got mad. Then I would forget to change my monthly order and I would get sent the same things. I would try to call and cancel when I would get that my order was processing email, but they would never let me and said I would have to wait for it to get sent to me and then print a return label and send it back. They hadn't even packaged my order yet and I couldn't cancel it. That actually does not surprise me in the least because they want to make it as difficult as possible for you to get yourself out of these things, for you to get yourself out of an auto ship or to return things back. There were other strange things, such as I have a friend that uses doTERRA and there were some products of doTERRA that I preferred over Young Living. Ooh, that is some drama. Because those two companies are directly in competition with one another, and if you were to admit in any way, shape, or form that you were supporting both of them, that would not go over well with your upline. I would have my friend order some products for me. When I told my upline that I did use some doTERRA, she got really upset and said that I better not have an account with doTERRA because it was illegal. That when I signed up with Young Living, there was a clause about not being with a competitor or something. I don't really know what she meant. I just never said anything about it again to her. The upline really started to stop talking to me when they couldn't talk me into selling, and I only started to order the 50 PV. This past summer, I saw the LuLaRoe documentary and it got me looking into anti-MLM content on YouTube. After watching Jessica, Deanna, and you, I decided enough was enough and canceled my monthly subscription. Yes! I can't believe I spent all that money every month. I feel so ashamed at what a waste it was. I do still try to do things natural and will still use some oils, but I'm looking into other companies that are not MLM. I will now only ever order what I want when I want. Thank you for all the research and work you put into helping people understand what these companies do and how they work. I feel better knowing I am not the only one to get caught up in one. I hope you keep it up. That makes me so unbelievably happy that the LuLaRich documentary was kind of like your segue into quitting Young Living. That says a lot. The thing about that documentary, which you can find on Amazon Prime, is that it focuses on LuLaRoe. It's a documentary about LuLaRoe, but the themes and the storylines woven into that documentary are not only unique to LuLaRoe. They speak to industry-wide issues that people from other MLM companies can watch and be like, oh my gosh, that's my experience too. I'm not in LuLaRoe, I'm in Young Living, but I'm making connections here. I'm seeing how these things are similar. And that's why that documentary was huge for the anti-MLM movement. To have a documentary of that kind on such a big streaming platform such as Amazon, that has driven tons of people to looking into anti-MLM content. Because while it does focus on one specific company, people can draw connections to their own experiences too. So I love, love, love that you are crediting that documentary to this path down the anti-MLM rabbit hole pretty much. That feels like a huge victory, a huge success. And I'm very happy to hear that you feel that anti-MLM content has made you feel less alone in your experience. This story says, I've got years of awful experiences with MLM Hun bots, and the specific one happened just today and still has me literally crying and throwing up. Please make sure to let others know there is a trigger warning for stillbirth. I would hate to be responsible for hurting anyone else as deeply as I hurt right now. Okay, so here is your trigger warning for that. As with all of my horror story videos, I put timestamps on the timeline. You can scroll over the time bar and find the next story if you would like to skip over this one. So in 2020, my partner and I were expecting a baby and we were absolutely thrilled. In October, due to my health, lupus, and type 1 diabetes, I could not fight off the infection I got as a result of a simple case of strep throat, and my body couldn't sustain myself and my daughter. So she passed away and I was induced, thus having a stillbirth. I just want to say that I'm so deeply sorry that that's something that you had to experience. That is an extremely traumatic and tragic event that nobody should have to go through. And I'm sending you my love and condolences. I'm so sorry. In mid-2021, we found ourselves expecting again despite many precautions, and honestly, this pregnancy was just as complicated as the last. I kept it all off social media. I didn't post anywhere, I stayed home, and no one knew about it until the day I gave birth by emergency C-section. She was born 3 months early, and as a matter of fact, yesterday, February 8th, was her due date, though she was born November 11th. Oh, sweet little baby. I hope that she's healthy and that she's doing well. As a result of childhood abuse, as well as my health and medications, my weight has always been up and down. I've been 200 pounds and I've been 90 pounds, many times within the same year. After this birth, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and I've been working hard to overcome it. But it's so hard when your baby is in the NICU and you feel responsible for not being able to protect them or keep them inside so they could fully develop. Oh, this is really heavy. So most of this is a huge source of sadness and guilt for me. Today I got a Snapchat video from someone I'm not overly familiar with, but whom I considered to be a friend. I have checked in on her, I've been supportive of her and her family, celebrating her accomplishments with her. What she said absolutely disgusted me. She told me that she, quote, couldn't help but notice that I had not shed all of my baby weight and that I was looking quite bloated and that my skin was pale and just looked lifeless. She mentioned that she had noticed that my partner doesn't post any photos of me despite me always posting him. My husband literally posts less than twice a week and it's usually anime related content. She said that she suspected this was due to my appearance and the fact that I had let myself go considerably and that, quote, you have to work harder to keep the spark after a baby, not use motherhood as an excuse to stop making an effort. By the way, I already have a 9-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old stepson, so I don't know where her judgment was coming from. I'm literally clenching my fist so hard because I am furious and heartbroken all at the same time. She then offered to get me in touch with some weight loss supplements and other vitamins at her discount that would, quote, perk me right up. And then maybe my partner would be proud to show me off. I'm like honestly really bothered by this story. I don't cry very much in my videos, but this is really f***ed up. I also don't curse much in my video, but this is f***ed up. Who says something like that to somebody? What is wrong with people? As if that wasn't cruel enough, she had also said it was a shame that she wasn't with her company in 2020 and that she was sorry that she'd been unaware of my pregnancy in 2021. I'm sorry, I'm just like so messed up over this story. Or else she just knew that her miracle supplements could have changed the outcome of both of my pregnancies. Yes, you're reading that right. She claimed I wouldn't have lost my daughter in 2020 or gone into premature labor if I had been her customer. Oh my god. I'm sorry, this is like so much. I'm just like so fed up with this. It's so messed up. Why do people think that it's okay to use somebody's death of a child to pitch their MLM supplements? Like it's unbelievable. This is vile. It seems immature of me, but I'm so hurt and disgusted that I've been crying, shaking, and vomiting because of this all day. I just can't believe anyone, let alone someone I thought of as a friend, would use my daughter's death as a way to try and hook me into buying her product. Sorry for the long dramatic message. I just need people to know how predatory and just inhumane these people are. And for anyone wondering, I didn't let her go that far, but her profile says it works direct sales consultant. First of all, you are not being dramatic. I mean, look at me. Like, I don't pre-read these stories before I sit down and read them for a camera. I had no idea that was coming. That is so messed up. And it's not dramatic of you to be having those feelings. That is so founded. I have never gotten like this over a story before. And nothing I can say will make this feel any better. Nothing I can say is gonna fix the fact that that happened to you. But I want to express my deep appreciation for you being strong enough to write this story and to send it to me and to give me permission to share it. Because this is an example of the sick and twisted way that MLM companies destroy people. This might be the most extreme example I've seen of this, but it is very important for us to broadcast this message and to make people aware of the lengths that MLM reps are willing to go to sell a product or to recruit somebody with absolutely zero regard for basic humanity, basic compassion for people that are going through something very difficult. I feel like the best support that I can offer you in this moment is to reassure you that your experiences and your feelings towards the situation are 1000% valid, and this woman is in the wrong. Usually I have a lot of compassion for people in MLMs. I don't have compassion for this situation. I cannot defend those behaviors. It is completely unacceptable, and I am so deeply, deeply saddened that this happened to you. Thank you for writing out this story, as difficult as I'm sure it was, and for allowing me to share it on this platform. Okay, I just took some time to regroup. We're on to the next story. Hi Hannah, this is short and sweet. Not entirely sure if this is a horror story or more of a fail, and I'm not entirely sure which one of us, me or the Hun, actually failed here, but I suppose I'll let you be the judge of that. I've always been really aware of the MLM industry and an outspoken advocate against it. I have a few friends who were conned into it, Young Living and Unique specifically, but saw the light before they even met me, so I can't say personally I've had any horrible experiences with them. But hey, I don't need to drive drunk to know it's a really bad idea that will more than likely end badly. I always say that about MLM business opportunities. People are like, well, how can you hate it if you've never tried it? And I could sit here at this desk until the end of time listing off to you all of the things that I don't need to try to know that they're not good. Anyway, I lived in the UK for almost 2 decades before I, just shy of 3 years ago, immigrated to Amsterdam, and whereas I have kept in touch with all of my UK friends, my socials are filled with pictures of my life in the Netherlands, and I kind of assumed that anyone scrolling through my Instagram would have realized I have not lived in the UK for years. But that's me assuming a Hun would actually bother doing a single scroll. So there I was minding my own business when I got an Instagram notification about a message request, and there it was, my first ever Hey Hun, from a girl who lived in the town I used to live in the UK, asking if I wanted to make money online and from home in these difficult times, when that is exactly what I do. I am a freelance copywriter and social media manager, and I bill for every single minute I do any work for my clients. From me sitting and planning the content I'm about to create to actually creating it, from every phone call or email where I consult to every moment of reporting on stats. One of us is making a full-time income from our phones, and one of us isn't. My first knee-jerk reaction was to just laugh it off, but then I had to think, is it more important for me to have a few belly laughs on the expense of this Hun, or is it more important to try and reach her to disillusion her? If I mock her, she'll block me and move on, but if I'm kind to her, well, there's a chance she might see the light. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but maybe what I would say to her now would plant a seed, and eventually she would realize she was worth more than whatever MLM she was slaving for and leave. So that's what I did. I was kind. You linked the screenshots to these messages, which we'll look at in a second. She liked my message and never replied. She didn't block me though, so I kept checking her profile every now and then, we're not connected, to see if she had seen the light, but in the last 8 months nothing has changed. She still posts those cringy lives and stories making her shakes, and still has DM me to find out what I do in her bio. So you tell me, who failed here? Anyway, thanks for reading and keep doing the good work. She sent her first message to you saying, hi, hope you're staying safe and well, and don't mind me messaging you, but I wondered if you might be able to help me at all. I'm currently looking for ladies that would like help in getting healthier/fitter, or that want to make money on social media in their spare time, or both, especially now at this difficult time. Do you know anyone that might be interested in either of these, Hun? Then you said back, is it an MLM? And she said, yes, it's network marketing, Hun. I can't believe she's still using the word Hun. I feel like that has such a negative connotation these days. And then you said back, I thought so. I don't support MLM business structures. I've seen the income just disclosures and really doubt I could reach the 1% who actually makes livable money on it. I actually work as a freelance social media manager and get paid for every minute I invest into working without having to buy a starter pack or invite others into my team. There are many legitimate ways to make money online and from home without subscribing into a business structure that is designed to make you spend more money than you make. I'd be happy to help you find those if you're interested. If not, I really hope you get out before you invest more than you get out of the MLM you're in. I think Arbonne or Beachbody. Or worse, get into serious debt. No hate, just wish you all the best. Take care. I mean, truthfully, I can get on board with that response. I really can. As a general rule of thumb, I always advise that people don't reach out to MLM reps and try and convince them to get out. But in this instance where she came to you unsolicited, I feel like that was a very appropriate response where you're like, I don't support this business model. Here's why. It's nothing against you. It's against the business structure. If you would like help finding something more legit, I would love to help you. I wish you all the best. And I think that's great because you took a very compassion forward approach with it. And that's always what I advocate for. Compassion and education over everything, because generally that's a much more well-received type of approach. And this is very similar to how I would approach something like that myself. So personally, I don't think that this is a fail on your part. I think it's wise of you to recognize that it might not help today, it might not help tomorrow, but maybe I just planted a tiny seed of doubt that they'll hold on to, and when they're ready, they'll look into it further. I love that. I'm in full support of that. If the circumstance is that someone is coming to you, pitching it to you, and you need to give them an honest reason why you're saying no. And this story says, "Hi Hannah, I love your channel, and after binge watching some of your MLM horror story videos, I realized I had one to share. Please keep me anonymous. First, some background. I work at a small company, around 20 employees, in a very specific field. One of the company owners, who I'm going to call Kevin, is married to a woman who I'm calling Kelly. Kelly previously worked at the company, but left to pursue other things before I started. She occasionally does some work in the field now, but it's not her full-time job. Anyway, the story. Back when the world was normal, my office was doing this healthy eating initiative. I don't remember why. I had sent out an email saying healthy snacks in the office kitchen if anyone wants some. Note, the healthy snacks was one of those pre-cut veggie trays you can get at the grocery store. About an hour later, I get an email from Kelly. Kelly, for some reason, is still included on the all-employee email list. Her email basically said, "It's so nice that you're into health and fitness. Are you free for lunch? I'd like to discuss something with you." I had never spoken to this woman before in my life. I think she only knew my name because it was in the email. I'm pretty sure if someone asked her to pick me out of a lineup, she would have picked wrong. My point is, getting this email at all felt weird. Before I answered, I decided to do some Googling. I found her website, and from there, I learned she's a part of LifeVantage. LifeVantage is one of those health MLMs, but not one people know about because it isn't huge like Herbalife or anything. They sell herbal supplements that reps claim can cure everything from Lyme disease to diabetes to cancer. I can't really explain how much BS and pseudoscience was being thrown around on both Kelly's site and the MLM site. They also weren't subtle in the MLM-ness of their structure. I politely said no and made up some excuse because she was my boss's wife and I couldn't just say, take your pyramid scheme somewhere else. And I knew she was leaving town the next day anyway. I remember spending the rest of the day really pissed off because this is my first real job and putting me in that kind of position was messed up on about 6 different levels. I was also worried that she'd try this with another coworker who might not feel comfortable saying no to her. So I told all of the others in the office, the grunts, not the management, so that they wouldn't get sucked in. Oh, and after all of this, I realized that the reason that she was so high in the company was because her husband would buy whatever amount of QV she needed to hit her rank that month. So on paper, it looks like she's making money, but the money was going from Kelly and Kevin's joint account to the MLM and then back into their joint account. Thank you for reading if you decide to read it. Big yikes there, because you know that she was just kind of creeping on that email list that she probably shouldn't really be on in the first place. And just the fact that you were like, hey everybody, there's healthy snacks in the kitchen, that was like enough for her to be like, oh, prime target. I feel like that's definitely showing a level of desperation. Like she's going for the employees at her husband's company via an office email list. Like, big yikes, lady. Thank goodness for Google. Thank goodness you looked it up. And hearing that there might be some rank buying going on is also not surprising. And with that, my friends, that's all that I have for you for this MLM Horror Stories video. As I said at the beginning of the video, if you ever have your own story that you would like to send in to me, please don't hesitate to do so. Every time I get a Horror Stories email, I put it into a special folder, and I can never, ever, ever have too many stories. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in my next one real soon.